Hey. Oh, it's upside down. There we go. Oh, it's upside down. There we go. Hey, it's Acoustic Stevo, the crypto bard, making his way into the cryptoverse. Join me on my journey. Let's have some fun. This is episode 3 of the Freedom Talk podcast. It is broadcasting to YouTube and DLive, although I don't know, I may have issues again because I went in and I was looking at DLive to change the name to episode 3 or whatnot, and it says I have no videos in there, so I'm wondering if episode 2 is not on there. That's kind of... I know I was broadcasting, though, there, because I checked it at the beginning, and I'm going to check it here in a minute, but it's a little disappointing. I guess I could upload to DLive, but if that's in fact not happening automatically, like on YouTube where it posts afterwards, and it's weird because I thought it was. I thought I had done episode 1 and saw that and did some tests and saw that they posted, and I actually had to delete some videos, some tests, so I don't know if there's something going on. Maybe somebody didn't like something I did and so they deleted it. I don't know. It's kind of strange, but we'll see. We'll see after this one. We'll see if it posts. We'll see if I have to do something other than what I'm doing now. But that's just life, I guess, you know. Anyways, today I am going to talk a little bit about myself. Because, you know, we're at the beginning of these, and I figured... I had thought about this for a while. I figured somewhere in the beginning I'm going to have to do an episode where I just kind of talk about myself a bit and some things that are going on with me and who I am and things like that. And why it's called Freedom Talk Podcast and why this is so important to me. The first thing I want to... I guess the biggest thing I want to talk about in this episode is freedom is not just freedom from the things outside of you, right? Yeah, it's a big part of it. You know, government, things that try to subconsciously implant you with beliefs, whether they be true or not. You know, the things that try to enslave you and make you accept enslavement that are outside of you, but there are also things on the inside, right? And I've dealt with a lot of those things on the inside, and that's what this episode's going to be about. It's going to be about dealing with things on the inside. And the first part of the episode, I am going to tell a story of how I quit smoking, right? Because in life, there are... You know, I'm going to change the background here. Let's find something cooler than this. Let's see if it's going on DLive first. That might be something to check. See, it kind of has a delay here, so I'm not sure if we're going to see it come through or not, but we'll see. Looks like a black screen to me. I think that last time I checked this, it took a minute for it to pop on and for me to go, oh yeah, that's right. And I checked YouTube first, so I think that's going to be a good start of these, right? Checking my live streams, making sure they're working. So let's just go ahead and check YouTube, right? DTube ain't really telling me much, but YouTube's pretty easy to determine whether or not. See, look, I'm pretty sure I am live streaming here. See if there's anyone in the chat while I'm here. You know, and if you're in the chat and I get the chat up, hey, foul fish, how's it going, bud? See, the chat's working, and there's the visual, so I'm going to scroll up past the visual because I don't want to see double of myself. That will give me a headache. But, yeah, I can see the chat, so if anyone wants to chat with me on YouTube, I can actually see it. I'm going to put something cool in the background, though. Thinking, you know, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a picture up in the background. I'll just grab something off my hard drive here. Actually, see if I got any cool pictures. Well, I'm back. That was a mistake. I realized what I did after I did it. Can't really access the camera because I'm using the camera for live streaming. Durr. Anyways, I'm going to go back over, not to my camera, to Chrome here and check on YouTube again. Make sure it's going. Everything's kind of fallen into place here. I like the snow, and it's very appropriate, man. Today, I was driving along, and at one point, I looked at my temperature gauge, not for my actual truck, but for what's going on outside and how cold it is, and it was like negative 14 degrees. And that's like Fahrenheit. That's freaking cold, man. My nose hairs were freezing when I was getting out this morning to hook up my trailers. Alright, so I'm going to scroll down a little. Yep, it's working. Yep, there's my lips wagging, so I know it's working. Alright, so I'm going to check DLive again. Might as well. Boop. See if I'm appearing on here. Probably might have screwed it up and might have a delay again because of the whole putting my camera on and kicking myself off thing. But we will see. So I'm going to talk about freedom today, but it's going to be about, yourself. How you could be standing in the way of your freedom. As I do all the time. Like, it's an ongoing thing. It's not something that you solve and then it's done and over with and you're like a perfect being from then on out. It's like a thing, It's like a human thing. And I've had some experience with myself. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. But it doesn't look like DLive's kind of loading in here. I don't know what's going on. I'll check later again. I'm going to go back to YouTube, see if anyone's in there to chat with. And then I'll get the show on the road. Because I just thought of another way to get a cool background. Actually, let's just do this. Boom. Oh, I know what I could do. I should have thought of this to begin with. Let's grab a file out of my pictures, right? Let's go to pictures. Yeah, what's a cool picture to put in the background? Well, that's a good one. It kind of applies. See, I've been writing a lot of poetry. I'm doing this Poetry 365 thing, and so I write a poem every day. And I'm a crypto bard, right? So I'm trying to introduce people that aren't into cryptocurrencies to their utility in the real world, because I believe that's the best way to bring about adoption, or at least one of the ways that's not being really focused on that I think I could add value to, is showing people how they can actually use this stuff. And it doesn't take much. Believe me, I don't have a lot of money in crypto, like hardly at all. I had a Christmas gift I gave myself 2 years ago, and birthday gift, and that's about it. That's not, and it's still, I've kept it in there. I've done some things with it. I've made some videos on it. You could probably check my channel if you're interested, but so I'm not going to belabor it, but that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm doing this Poetry 365 where I'm posting my poetry on this platform. It's a blogging platform called Steemit, and I've been on it for a while now. It's pretty cool. People can upvote your stuff. You can put anything on it. And when they upvote it, it gives you this cryptocurrency called Steem, and it's real easy to turn it into real money you can send to your bank account. I've done it. So that's why I use it. It's one of those things you can actually use. It's like make money on the internet for people just giving you a thumbs up on your stuff. That's pretty cool, and they can send you stuff. That's the other utility of it. Like, I don't really think you need PayPal. Like, just get yourself a Steemit account, and people could send you Steem straight to your account, and there's no middleman. See, that's one of the things about cryptocurrency. It kind of eliminates middlemen in a lot of different industries in a lot of different ways. And it hasn't even affected our world yet. Like, this whole world's going to change. Middlemen are going to be like, sorry, buddy, we don't need you anymore. And PayPal's really a middleman, because they do take a little for what they do, and they kind of have to in order to function in the world. So it's kind of a legit middleman. I kind of like PayPal in a way, and PayPal's actually become a part of this whole thing with the cryptocurrency, because Coinbase wallets, which is the most popular, easiest to use, like one of the most trusted ways you can get cryptocurrency. You can get it as an app on your phone. That's how I got it. You could connect it to your PayPal account. So you can get all this cryptocurrency, turn it into US dollars, send it to PayPal, and now it's in your PayPal account. I mean, how much easier does it get than that? But the other one that I'm using is a newer one, and it's called Cent, and it runs off Ethereum. You may have heard of Ethereum. It's like the second most popular cryptocurrency out there. It doesn't have the second most, I would say, volume and money in it. Ripple is another popular one's kind of overtaken it last year and kind of held its spot. But Ethereum, it's got this thing called smart contracts, where that's a part of so it's like a cryptocurrency as well as a way, it's like a spreadsheet almost. It's a way of keeping track of things, and you can make contracts that it eliminates the need to trust people, because the contracts are what deliver the currency back and forth. And it's really cool, because if you don't complete one side of the contract, then you don't have to worry about like losing your money if somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do or whatever. It's really cool. But you could build things on it, because it's like a computer thing as well. And there's this site called Cent, that's Cent, where people are on there just sharing ideas, posting whatever they want, and they have this thing called bountying, where they'll give you a little bit of an incentive to interact with them. And if they have this thing called sorting, where you go on there and you sort through the different replies, different users sort through them, and the ones that get the most love, they go to the top, and they're the ones that receive algorithmically parts of the bounty. And it's really cool. And I'm also putting my poetry on there. So if you ever want to read my poetry, I'm Acoustic Stevo everywhere, all one word though. It's ACOUSTICSTEVEO, and you could just type in Cent and get on there and look at it. Get yourself an account. Do yourself a favor. Same with Steemit. Get yourself an account. Do yourself a favor. It's real easy to get a Steemit account. I think you can connect through Facebook. You know how like you put little apps on your phone and they say, do you want to connect to this through Facebook? It's like an option. I think you could do that with Steemit. So they make it real easy nowadays, and I'm Acoustic Stevo on there too. And I also put my videos every week. I make a video, which I've already made the video for this week, but I think I did upload it. And if you are just hesitant to get onto blockchain, this is the one place. I think I've also done a little bit on Facebook, but this is Facebook and YouTube. I'm kind of making an exception for here in the beginning. So if you want to submit your poetry and have it published, because I'm doing a monthly publication of poetry of all the people that I'm interacting with, whatever they drop in the comments or the replies or whatever it's called. So like on this video, if you put some of your poetry in the comments, if I like it, I'll publish it. I can't promise I will. I'm not real snooty about poetry, but if it's something that I just don't like, I'm sorry, I probably won't publish it. And don't take offense. And if also, that being said, if I don't publish it, it might not be because I don't like it. It might be because I've got enough already, because I pretty much for January almost due. So I might accept one more person, but January is like almost done. So, and I've got enough poetry already from people that I've been interacting with. So, I mean, if it was a really good poem, I wouldn't think twice about it, but so if you go on if you're interested in that and you write poetry, just go on one of my videos and drop your poetry as a comment, and I will publish it in an online journal. that I've already started making. Right now I'm making it on Weebly, so I'm doing it for free because I ain't got no money, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's not too bad. I'm a little bit proud of what I've created on there, but my goal is to actually publish it on one of the blockchains, and I actually am in the process of getting a domain name that has .eth, which stands for Ethereum, at the end, and then finding a way to publish it on Ethereum. So I'm working on it, but for now it's just going to be a free website on Weebly that I will be revealing here real soon. On Friday, actually, that's the 1st of February, so I'm going to publish January's poetry on February 1st. And I'm trying to keep this stuff separate from this podcast, so this is probably the last time. I can't say that. I talk too much. But hopefully I can keep myself from talking too much more about this and just keep the world separate, because I got a lot of different things I do, and I want to kind of build this thing up as well this year. So that's probably the last I'm going to talk about that. But that's what this graphic is. It's with each piece of poetry I post, I try to post a graphic, and I get most of my stuff from Pixabay because it's all like free. You can change it around. You could use it for commercial use. You could do whatever you want with it, and that's why the people put it on there. So it's cool. That's why I use Pixabay, because it's free and I ain't got no money. Now, if I had money, I'd probably be buying other people's art because I like to support people, but I just ain't got no money. All right, that being said, let's get into the actual video. I'm going to talk about how I quit smoking, all right? Because when I was about 16 years old, maybe 15, I started smoking cigarettes, and I didn't quit till I was 26, and I smoked like a pack a day, like almost from the get-go. Like I started smoking, I think, a half a pack a day for a couple months, and then it moved to a pack a day pretty quick. And all my friends were too in high school. I mean, it was nothing for us to go through a pack of cigarettes. And then I was 26 years old, and I had this cough. You hear me coughing now. It was kind of like that, but it would never go away, and it was always like happening. I wonder if I'm coughing now because I'm just thinking of it. But it was horrible. And I really realized how bad it was when I went on a hiking trip with my cousin Buckeye. And we went down to a really beautiful place called the Red River Gorge down in Kentucky. And me and Buckeye, we kind of have this thing where when we were younger, we would... Oh, man. I don't want that to happen. See, that's the thing. The screen kind of... it's like... I think if I put something dynamic in the background, it doesn't do that. But I got this picture, so I might go back... Let's just go back to YouTube real quick, because I don't want to be dealing with that constantly. Plus, I want to see if anyone's in here. But my cousin Buckeye, right? He and me, we used to go backpacking a lot. Like, I used to live in Montana, and there's this really awesome place called Fish Lake down by Gardner, Montana, down in Yellowstone Park. And they have these native cutthroat trout in the lake up there. And they're like rare. They're like, they used to be an endangered species. I don't know if they still are. I think he told me something like they aren't anymore. Like, they've done some stuff, where they kind of replenish areas with the trout. I don't really know. I could be talking out my butt on that. But they're kind of a rare thing anyways, these native cutthroat trout. Man, they're huge out of this Fish Lake, right? And so I've kind of done a lot of outdoorsy stuff centered around my cousin Buckeye. And he visited me here in Ohio, and there's not a lot of outdoorsy stuff to do, but I knew that if we just drove down to Kentucky, down to the Red River Gorge, we could, because I went down there with some friends of mine and had a lot of fun down there in the past, so I wanted Buckeye to to see it. Well, I was 26 years old, smoking. I got this mountain man who's can hike anywhere still. He has never smoked cigarettes, and he's just like charging, right? And I can't keep up. I'm coughing and hacking, and a week after he went home, I was like, man, I gotta quit smoking. I can't even talk to people because I'm constantly coughing. I mean, it was really bad. So I had tried quitting smoking before a few times, and even successfully, where I'd quit for like 6 months and stuff like that. And I was using stuff like patches, nicotine patches, and the gum, right? And then I'd quit for like 6 months, and then like I'd smoke a cigarette and it'd all start up all over again, and I'd smoke for years and years. And I was tired of that, so I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And I was reading around the same time of this thing called Sigil Magic, right? And I was reading these chaos magic websites because I've always, I've been studying the occult since I was real young, so I've always known there was something to it for a lot of reasons, and I'll probably get into that at the second part of this video. But so I've never wanted to be like a practitioner of some kind of magic where I have to like do these rituals to the lady and the Lord and all that. That just didn't appeal to me. It was kind of creepy to be honest, especially since I came from a Christian background. It was kind of like, that's just not really for me. But this thing called chaos magic, it was just like, magic exists and you can do anything to create magic. And so I was kind of reading about it, and I was really interested in it, right? Well, I was on this chaos magic website, and I was reading about this thing called Sigil Magic, and it kind of introduced me into the subconscious mind and how powerful it is, right? And I realized it started talking about the conscious mind. When you try to stop doing something or you try to do something, the reason why you fail a lot of time is because you're working at it from your conscious mind, and you're putting all this will and this effort into whatever you're doing from your conscious mind, but that's not really the power where the power's at. The power is in the subconscious mind and what you've subconsciously programmed yourself with, right? And I was like, it kind of blew my mind. I started thinking about it, and I was like, man, yeah, that's kind of strange because, I do have the willpower to do these things, like to quit for 6 months and whatnot, but I always end up going back to it because there's something inside of me that just keeps going back to it, right? So I'm like, I don't want to do that again. I'm just going to try this thing, right? The Sigil Magic thing. So I did, all right? And it worked. Like, it worked more hardcore than almost anything I've ever done in my life. Definitely magic-wise, it was the strongest thing I've ever done. And I'll tell you what you do. What you do is you... Actually, I think I may have saved it in a tab. I'll bring it up. Give me a second. I think I have it here. Bookmarks. Let's see if I got this. I know I used to have it in here. Let me try this. Oh, that's not it. Let me try the... No. That's a bummer, because I really do think I had it in here, and I just saw it, like, not too long ago. And I was actually thinking about pulling it up before I even made this video, just because I knew it was in here, but now it's like, where is it? That's a bummer. That's so weird that it's not here. Let me check one more place. That's so weird. Anyways, I can describe it because I'm the one who did it. What you do is you have to have a goal of something that you want, and you have to really want it, right? Like, really be ready to do it, right? And once you know what that is, you make this I will statement. And it's basically I will insert whatever your goal is. Mine was I will quit smoking cigarettes. It has to be very specific, right? I wanted to quit smoking cigarettes, so I will quit smoking cigarettes was mine. And then what you do from there is you jumble up all the letters in that I will statement. And then you pick out a number of them. You know, you don't want to repeat them, and you just kind of put them in a weird order and make up words, right? And then you kind of whittle it down even more till you got something very concise with letters from that I will statement. Mine was swig tone, right? I got the S from smoking. I got the W from will. I got the I from I and smoking, either one. I got the G from smoking and the T from cigarettes. The O from smoking. L from will again. And the N from smoking. All right. So that became the mantra part of it, right? The part that helps you program your subconscious mind. So you get this mantra, and I would suggest two nonsense words that you could basically chant without really putting a lot of meaning into it because they're nonsense words, right? So mine was swig tone, but you also want to create the sigil part of it, which is an actual like visual drawing. It's like a little symbol that you create. And you want to create it from the actual letters in the nonsense statement that you created, right? So you take all the different letters and you place them kind of weird and just like get creative and take pieces out of them. And then you have this symbol that you created that's made up of those things, but it's also kind of dissected, so things taken out of it. So it also is nonsense in a way, right? So it has the element of it, but it's not something that will consciously draw your mind to thinking of your I will statement, which is I will quit smoking. It's more you can look at it and it still has the essence of it, but you would never guess that that's what it was because that's what you're after, right? Same with the statement itself, swig tone. If I said that, I never would think that it means I will quit smoking. It's just swig tone, right? And actually, let me check my wallet. I used to carry this thing around. I might still have it in here. Give me a second. I'm going to check. I'll show you what it is if I have it. Oh, wow. I still have this. Now, this is from, wow. This is from when I was 26 years old, and I'm now 40, all right? And I wrote this, swig tone, and then on the other side, I made this symbol, right? There's the G, right? There's the over the little dot, that's the dot from, the swig. This is the T, the little dash over the dot is like the top of a T or the cross of a, it's actually the top of like a capital T without the other part because that's part of it. You want to take things out of it too, right? To make it unrecognizable. And then I got the N, right? And if you look at it, actually, that kind of looks like TOLN, right? So I kind of got even the word tone is in this, right? And I just have the G from swig, right? So you kind of take stuff out, you're reducing it, right? But that's my symbol, right? So then you have your thing like this. It was very effective the way I did this. I would suggest doing this, right? So after you got your thing, you want to get into a state, right? It's called gnosis, Gnosis. And what it is, it's like when you meditate and you try to get to where there's nothing in your head, right? Nothing at all. And this is something, I'm not somebody who meditates either, so it's not like this was the easy thing for me to do because I meditate. No, this is probably one of the only times I've ever really tried to meditate and get to a state of gnosis. I've actually done it for other things that I've used this on, but I don't just do this for no reason. But what you do is you try to absolutely think of nothing, and you just kind of, and it will take a while. Spend 5-10 minutes just trying to get yourself into this state. And then after feel like you're at a place where you're thinking of nothing, not your I will statement. The worst thing you can do is actually to think of your I will statement. And I would say if you're having problems getting into this state and your I will statement keeps coming into your head, don't do it. Wait for a different time, come back to it later. Don't even start it, because the part of the success of it is that you have to get to this state first. Otherwise, the programming does not work. So what you do when you actually do get to a state of gnosis, you have this in your hand, but you're not thinking of it. You are not thinking either of the statement, anything about it, right? You just have it ready to go. All you're doing is getting everything out, kind of thinking of nothing, saying nothing, trying to be completely quiet. And then when you're ready, you go like this. You look at it. See, right now I'm looking at the symbol, right? And then you turn it over and you look at the word. And you just say the word, swig tome. But you don't think about what it means. That's very important. You try to stay in that state of gnosis, that state where you're not even really looking at this thing, focusing on it. You're just flashing it and you're flipping it around. And every time the word comes up, you say swig tome, but you're not thinking about it. And you do this for about 10 minutes. I mean, this is like a 20-minute thing, right? After you've done this is my experience with it. I did this, right? And I didn't really think a whole lot of it. It was more like an experiment of this thing I read about on the internet, right? It's crazy how sometimes things work out. So I read about this thing. So after I did it, and I did it the way it said, and I just went on with my day, right? I ran out of cigarettes. I still had a pack of cigarettes. I was still smoking cigarettes. I wasn't even thinking about it, right? But I ran out of cigarettes, and then later that night, I went over to my sister's house to play some poker. Everybody's around the table just smoking cigarettes, and I never bought another pack before I went over there, and I was even out of cigarettes before I showed up. And I'm just sitting there playing poker, and I'm like, everybody's smoking, and I'm like, this thought came into my mind. Well, everyone's smoking, you don't have any cigarettes. And guess what? I didn't want one. I was like, what the fuck? Every other time I tried to quit smoking, it was this struggle, this turmoil, this thing that I had to constantly deal with that was just always on my mind, always coming up, just hell, right? It was not like that at all. It was like one of the easiest things I've ever done. At that point, quitting smoking, and I'm 100% serious about this. And the reason why is because I successfully reprogrammed my subconscious mind. Now, there is one more step to it. After you do that initial program, I would say for the next week, at least every day or two, pull it out and just flip it back and forth again and do the chanting part for about 5 minutes, then put it back in your wallet, forget about it, right? And just go on with your day. Do that every day to 2 to 3 days. Maybe if you do it every day towards the beginning, every 2 days, then every 3 days, but only do it for a week. And even if you don't quit smoking, it's not a big deal. Don't stress yourself out, because the programming will take over. I swear it will. It's the craziest thing ever, dude. It's the craziest thing ever. And it will not be a struggle. It's just that you've reprogrammed your subconscious mind. So now your subconscious mind is programmed with your I will statement. And so it's the powerful entity of you, believe it or not. Your willpower, it's very powerful. But if you can go off of your subconscious mind, whoo, that is super powerful. People don't even know. So that's my story with that. that's what I'm kind of getting into this little Freedom Talk episode 3 about. I'm talking about myself a little bit here. And that I was on this guy named Charlie on, I think it's Charlie Chill or Charlie Chillin'. And he just hangs out and smokes weed and just kind of talks about politics and different things. He reads a lot. Really smart guy. He's really cool. And he's trying to quit smoking. I told him I was going to make a video for him. But I figured, why make a video for him when I could really incorporate it into this show, because he had mentioned that he had watched some of my episodes, or one of my episodes, or a part of my episodes. So I'm just going to tell him, hey, go ahead. Next time I'm on his thing, I'm just going to say, hey, I went into that in episode 3. So if you watch that episode at the beginning, skip past me talking about my poetry, and you'll get to the part where I talk about how I quit smoking. So that was for you, Charlie. And for all you other people out there, this thing can be used for a lot of things. Like I tried to use it a couple years later, and I thought I did it unsuccessfully, and it wasn't as potent as that first time. I wasn't able to get into the Gnostic state that I was that first time, is the reason why I think it wasn't as potent. But I did it with quitting smoking pot, and it didn't take effect right away, but I don't smoke pot anymore. When it actually came time for me to quit smoking pot, just because I have a job where I can't, it was easy. Like I didn't even have to do anything. So maybe the whole reason why I didn't quit when I was doing it was because I just really didn't want to, like I did when I wanted to quit smoking, you know what I mean? But as soon as it came time for me to actually quit smoking pot, it wasn't a problem. So I mean, it's really interesting, I'll put it that way. And it's really powerful, so you want to make sure whatever you program yourself with is actually something you want, because it is very powerful. Very powerful. Alright, now for the... I got a while today because I got news that my load's like 2 hours out, so I got a while. So this episode's probably going to be a longer episode than normal ones. And I'm going to go back and check my chat, put that up, and then continue the rest of the episode here. Ooh. Come on. Oh, there we go. Get out my bookmarks. It's like trying to pull something up there. There we go. It doesn't want to do it. Trying to... it's wanting to be screwy. There we go. So now I'm back into my chat. I'm going to check my D Live, see if that's going too. There might be some people in there chatting, because that's one thing I did notice. Hey, Charlie, chillin'. So he got the message about quitting smoking. If you didn't catch the beginning of it, I talked about the whole thing, and that was for you, man. But I'm going to go ahead and check D Live real quick, see if there's anybody on there. Let me get rid of that. I'm still not sure if I'm... See, I'm going to leave it on here for a minute, because it might... Last time I got it on here, it didn't come on right away. So, like, it had this screen that's coming up, and then I thought it wasn't working, and then I left it on here for a minute, and then all of a sudden it was on, and I was like, okay, I guess it's working. So, and here's the chat for D Live. Let me see if there's any new stuff on here. It's weird that this person came in, Academkillick, and they just started putting A. I was like, what are they trying to say? They're like SS, SSA, AAS. I'm like, are they calling me an ass? ASS, asses, because I mean, I was talking about some stuff probably. I think the last episode I had I had some people on, or I had a video of Owen Schroyer, I think, and this guy who's not really liking Zionism very much, Adam Green, so maybe that pissed somebody off and they're calling me an ass. I don't know. I don't know. I know people get really touchy around those type of subjects, though. Alright, so Galdriel R. I don't know, I think that's an old comment. I think all these are. And I don't see anything popping up. It should have popped up by now, so... Kinda disheartening. Maybe my talking about Zionism got me kicked off DLive, because the videos aren't there either. I mean, see, it says video 0. Wait, no, it says replays 1. That's what I was looking for, right? Replays. Oh, okay, so it does have it on there, so it's working. Good. Except for it ain't working right now, because, you know what, I think it might be this. Let me try this. Oh, maybe this is the screen. Maybe I am streaming. I see it, it's circling it. Forgive me for all this troubleshooting stuff. And by the way, Charlie, I know I told you about the YouTube gaming app. It's going away. I'm still using it for some stuff, but this is another good app. And it's pretty easy. You see the snow? I think that's like what they do to make to take away the snow to make it not free. But I don't really care about the snow. It kind of fits. I'm in the middle of winter, so I'm all about the free. But this one's called what is this one called? Ace, ACE streaming. So you can do the same thing on this, where you put your face on like I got, and then. Well, it looks like it's trying to do something. See, this is the thing. Last time I had it on something like this, and then all of a sudden it showed, and I was like, oh, shit, it's working. So, that might be working. But the second part of this podcast is coming up. As soon as I see if this is working and then get back up, because I don't see I don't see anyone in this chat. I'll check it later, see if this is working, now that I'm actually in this screen. But I do know that YouTube is, and there's people there, so that's where I'm going back to, right? Alright, there we go. So now I'm going to get into my story, right? And I have videos on this, but the thing about my videos is they're not very good, and I couldn't just take my time telling the story, and today I got a lot of time, so I can definitely take my time telling the story. So, and it's kind of, I was thinking I could do a new video, like a live stream just on this. And I'm kind of hesitant on whether or not I really want to tell this story right now. Because I think I could make a whole video out of just the story, like a whole live stream with just me and my face and not all this other stuff that I've been doing. And, I don't really see anybody in here talking too much, so I don't think anybody's here that actually needs to hear this story. So I think I'm just going to leave the second part of this podcast out and not make it a part of this. Or if I do, I'll do it later, because I've already been going for 43 minutes, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and end this here. I talked about how, in this episode, about how freedom, the biggest part of it is yourself. Like, you have to overcome yourself before you can even start to worry about whatever's on the outside. So, and that's not something that happens and then, you're done with it. It's like an ongoing thing for all sorts of different things. It's an evolution thing. I mean, there's things that I don't do today that I did 10 years ago that I'm like, what the was I thinking? You know what I mean? But then again, there's also things that I do today that 10 years from now, I'll probably look back and say the same thing. So, a big part of freedom is freeing yourself of the things that you can program yourself with. A lot of the defeatist mentality, that's something that we program ourselves with. I mean, it's really easy to do that because it's coming at us from everywhere. But, hey, thanks, Foulfish. I'm about ready to get off, man. Thanks for either sticking around or just telling me great stuff, man. I appreciate that. But you know, the whole defeatist thing, this is the way I look at it. What I'm doing right now, it could be nothing, but it isn't, because I already just talked to 2 people. And even if that's the only 2 people I ever talked to about from this moment that I'm in, that I'm living right now, it's still a success. But beyond that, it could be more. And you know who my biggest person is when I think about this? Is Emily Dickinson. She because she wrote all this poetry in obscurity, right? And it wasn't even like recognized until after her death, like years down the road. And now, I mean, I go back and I read her stuff and I'm just blown away, and it means so much to me. And here I am, and like, we're separated by a long time, over 100 years, and I'm, you know, 100 years from now, there will be people enjoying Emily Dickinson. And she, you know, she lived her whole life in obscurity. So that's the way I look at it. Like, you know, it could be something, or it could not. Someday somebody might find Acoustic Steve-O and be like, wow, what he's saying is true. And I could see it's true because everything he's talking about is happening right now. Because that's going to be a big part of this Freedom Talk podcast, is I'm going to get into some of the stuff that I see, some of the stuff that I've seen, you know, and that's kind of weird. People don't really like that whole thing where you talk about extrasensory things outside of science, or things that science have not yet discovered and put into the mainstream, to be more precise. I'm going to get into some of that in this stuff, and I'm really excited about it. And I almost got into it on this episode, but I don't want it to go too long. And I also think I might leave that for a separate live stream. So, Nick Vicious smoked crack. Thanks for watching, but that's one thing I haven't done. Like, I haven't smoked crack before. Done coke, of course. Never smoked crack. I don't think I ever would want to do that. And I think a big part of it was that I was around Dayton, Ohio a lot when I was younger. And it's probably actually, you know, the whole crackhead thing, that's like, I don't think I'd ever want to be called a crackhead. And I know I have such an addictive personality. It's not, like, think about it. Crackhead or coke whore, right? What would you rather be called? I'd rather be called a coke whore, even if I'm a male. I mean, it's something about being called a crackhead. It's like the worst thing you could ever be. It has led me to never try crack. And I guess the same thing could be said about heroin, and why I've never tried heroin, because I didn't want to be a heroin addict. It's like, you know, I've done a lot of stuff, but those two, you know, I've done crystal meth, and now that's gnarly. I think that's another reason why, because I did that when I was really young, like 16 and 17 years old, and it really kind of messed me up for a minute. And I didn't even really do that much of it, but I knew how hardcore it was. And after doing something that hardcore, I was like, I don't think I ever want to do anything like that again, right? Nah. So thanks for the suggestion about smoking crack, but it's not going to happen, man. But if that's your thing, I don't think it is. I think you're probably saying something about me by saying that, but I could be wrong. I could be reading a little bit further into it than is actually being said. But, you know, trolls do exist. I know that, and I embrace the troll. I love the troll. So if you're trying to troll me, please continue. But anyways, Acoustic Steve-O out. Have a good day, everyone.